I'm Trevor Brazile.
And I'm Miles Baker.
A lot of people think that outside's a release of pressure and like, oh, that horse just needs to go outside. I mean, there's a lot of stuff when you're ranching that is only pressure, and just being able to deal with it. That's what I always say. I mean, like, you can only ease around a horse for so long. They've got to learn how to handle pressure, and when you're on the ranch and sorting and really doing the work that has to be done, and sometimes you don't think that horse may be ready for a situation that they get thrown into, and then you find out, you know, what that horse is made of. I just think it's where the great ones are made.
If I have a 2-year-old with 60 rides, I'll take him and just go prowl through some cattle on him. Just cover country, cross creeks. I'll go up and check them on the mountain. And if I have a 3-year-old, there's some guys that I go help. They work quite a bit. If I have a 3-year-old that is ready to go get some stuff roped on her after drag them in the trailer, I'll take that as an opportunity to take that colt and give it a job. I don't know what it is about it, but when you've chased yearlings around a wheat field for 30 minutes and then you got to go rope 4 or 5 of them, it gets their minds right real quick, and it seems like it fast tracks the roping, and it teaches a horse to travel and get out and run. And I rope a lead steer a lot in the arena before I'll go out and let them go chase a yearling down full speed, because I don't want to get them going fast before they're ready for it. I always want that horse to come back to me whenever I need him to come back to me. I want it when I quit squeezing or kicking, or when I pick up, I want it to be instant. So I'll teach them to track, knock the tracks out of one in the arena, and when I rope, stay with me, or if I sit down, drag their butt or whatever. But when I feel like they can go outside and do it, then I take them as quick as I can.
I mean, he's constantly making these horses better while doing the job, but it's everything that he's put into them in the arena. Just like every other discipline trains these horses for, he just has a place to go apply it and see how it's working. If he needs to go back and refresh it when he gets a little pressure put on him out there, how'd they handle it? I don't think this one's quite ready to send up here, because, you know, I got him in this little bind the other day and he didn't handle it quite the way I wanted him to, and so we go back and get everything right. But that's one thing that I think people will find from these horses is they're tested and they haven't had shortcuts.
A lot of people talk about a horse being proven or seasoned or anything, and we'll prove them when they're 3-year-olds. I mean, they're going to get pressure tested. I'm going to rope mama cows on them. I'm going to rope yearlings on wheat pasture. I'm going to have to step off and doctor something. They're going to have to drag stuff in the trailer. And to me, that's proving a horse. That's putting him in a tight spot and seeing how he handles it. So if the horse does good enough to make it to the final someday, he's been in a jam before. It doesn't bother him. The loud, the crowd, the lights, it's nothing to him. I mean, he's been in plenty of storms before. So I think that shows up when we go to hauling these horses and trying to season them and stuff. Their minds are so sound that it's not like you just took an ill-broke rope horse to a jackpot for the first time and you're hoping it goes good. We pretty well know how it's going to go when we take that horse, because we've taken the proper steps to get him to that point. And if he's not to that point, we're probably not going to take him, because it's not good for the horse to throw him into a fire that he can't get out of.
So many people will skip steps, and it'll eventually come out, and you have to take the time. There's no shortcuts, and I think that's what has been the best part of our deal so far, is we're on the same page about those steps. And when he's not skipping steps, I know it, because it never comes out, you know, when I'm riding them, and that's refreshing, because there's been a lot of horses that I thought were further, you know, in the process, and you know, they weren't, and I haven't had that with Miles.
I grow good mane and tail.
Yeah. I like the fact that he's vain enough to keep good manes and tails. That's important to me.
Yeah.
Can't stand a bad tail.
Yeah. Yeah, we agree on that. I think one thing that he has a really good eye for, and I learned it from my dad. My dad's always been huge. He can look at a horse that looks terrible standing there tied to the fence, but he won't call him ugly until he sees him move. And I've always kind of thought I was crazy for thinking like that, but he's the same way. We can, until we see a horse move and travel, we don't judge him that much. They need to be pretty. It's icing on the cake to be pretty, but we're both big on how a horse moves. And I'm fortunate I've had the time to get one to ride around, and he knows how one's supposed to ride. And that's what a bunch of people think, just because somebody's rodeoed their whole life, they don't know what a broke horse is. And I don't like to give him too much credit, but he knows what a good broke horse is, and he can ride one. And I feel like something I do good is putting buttons in a horse, and he can push the buttons, and that works great for our deal, because I might bring a horse down here, and I like doing it. I'll put some stuff in him, and I like bringing him down here, and he gets on them and he puts them to the test, and he can push those buttons that I've put in him, and it's nearly like clockwork. I'll always watch videos of me riding a horse, and I'm really judgmental about it, and he'll get on them, and all of a sudden they look better with him riding them the first time than they've looked with me riding them the whole time. But that's on top of roping and stuff. He's so talented with a horse that he can get on them and feel instantly and know what a horse needs, and uses his feet and hands, and he can get it out of a horse really well.
What are some of those buttons?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's not really just hands and feet or one spot here. I mean, if you want to move their hips are free. I mean, like, I haven't really asked one that's been through his program to be able to do something that it surprised him, or I didn't stick a spur somewhere where he didn't understand what I was asking him to do. But whether it's in the rodeo industry or the roping industry, everybody knows the need for good horses, and there are good kind of horses everywhere, but getting them from A to Z, that's a long process, and some people are really good, at the first, and some people would wreck a horse if they got him too soon. And so those great horses aren't being made, finished. And I think that we work really well together in finishing, really good rope horses. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
We were talking about it in the pickup driving the other day, and I couldn't name the steps. I'm just giving an example, but if there's 10 steps to training a horse, I'm good at getting them from 0 to 5, and he's the 5 to 10. That's him. I can get the foundation and get them set up, and he gets on them, and I say this is where the magic happens, because he gets on them, and it's just everything happens. And that's the funnest thing for me about it, is getting to see the work I put in come out, because he's the best at what he does, and so it doesn't fail that if I put the work in, I get to see the work come out when he gets on them. So that's what's fun for me, because every good trainer's trained a good horse at some point. The horse didn't go on, or they didn't get to see the full potential, or people didn't get to see that horse. And if you train him, you're thinking, man, that horse was better than he got credit for. And when he gets on them, they are their best at that point.
But I like people being able to come look at our horses, and I mean, I wish when I was rodeoing, somebody was doing this to where when I got on them and backed them in the box, whether they had ever been to a rodeo or not, where most of ours that are past the age of 5 will have been to jackpots or the futurity or something, to get some seasoning. But whether they had or not, to be able to know that I could tell one of the top ropers in the country. I know he's just 5, but I mean, he can handle whatever you show him. If you want to throw 3 culls, he's going to read it. If you're going to go to the hip, you can read it. I mean, as long as they send the right signals, these horses are going to do their job, and that's fun to watch.